Supportables, by week 5, all the major storylines are starting to kind of congeal themselves here. We've got the have-nots. Most of our league is locked up into terms of total points separating major spots, but we do have one team that is starting to drift a little further forward. We'll see if we can catch him. But first, let's just talk a little bit about week 5. It's usually around now that the Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were, kind of pop into my head. Because mainly, at this point, we're a third of the way through the fantasy regular season, so the league leaders might just actually end up being the league leaders in those categories. The sleeper that you keep waiting on to kind of pop off at some point in time, sure, they might be a second half comeback, or they might just be a bust. And I know a lot of us are making those decisions in our actual fantasy leagues, but in NFL, it's popped up in kind of the same way. This week, in week 5, most of the good games we saw coming, and most of the blowouts, again, we kind of saw coming. Looking at all the night games, each one presented a decent game. San Francisco, LA, but aside from actually maybe I wanted a few more fantasy points out of that one, everyone did at least something in that game that was supposed to do it, and it was a super entertaining game. The Bills-Pats was a bit of a surprise in terms of the outcome, I would say, but those games either go big blowout or nail-biter down to the end. Not the result that I think most of us thought we were going to get, but, if the Bills are going to get one punch, the Pats are kind of the team that usually does it. Now, the Jacksonville KC is another one that, not the result we thought it, but we thought we were going to get. I don't think in most cases, at least. I know some people in elimination pools that got knocked out because of that one. 2 and 3 Chiefs, but yeah, the media is going to do what the media is normally going to do here. Probably blame Taylor, talk a little bit too much about the Chiefs, maybe miss the point that was actually the most Lawrence move of all time. Like, for those who've been following his career and waiting, he's supposed to be something great, gets them all the way down to the red zone, falls over twice, is only really not down by contact, because if you look at it, it kind of looks like they gave up on him, and then kind of falls into the end zone for a brilliant play. That's a pretty Jennifer Lawrence. We'll go Trevor Lawrence on this one. That's pretty indicative of what we've seen so far. Even some of the other games that gave us some entertainment. I have McBride in a keeper league, and so I've been following him for a little bit, and I've been forced to watch Arizona games. So every offseason, when everyone's saying this is going to be the Cardinals' year and they're going to make it, I'm always like, they're probably going to screw it up in some case. And this way, aside from DeMarcado trying to get his name in the headlines by doing something that someone did the week before and dropping it while celebrating, but maybe even more aggressively, you got Kyler, who almost got concussed because he wasn't paying attention and a snap hit him in the face. And I know you might think that's a rarity. If you watch the Cardinals, that happens 5 to 7 times a season. Easy, that he's not paying attention and the ball just kind of hits him. This one hitting him in the head and then him running off the field and pretending it was a foot injury was a little bit different, or I guess the foot might have been, but you know what I'm talking about. And the fact the mediocre or actually piss poor team comes back to beat them, that's so Cardinals at this point, right? Stat lines that kind of drew my attention as the most appropriate. Best stat line of the week, Jamar Chase, 4 catches, 3 tackles. He was in on all of those assists for the interceptions. I guess that's about as good as he's really going to get in a year like this. But if you had him as a defensive player or in a defensive player league, I think you're taking the bonus points. How about probably the creepiest, and I don't want to make fun of it headline, but literally at the bottom of the screen at one point just said, Sanchez stabbed, arrested. I don't want to know more. I don't need to know more, but that seems a bit on the nose. Or how about Fields being 0-26 when an opponent scores 21 points or more on him? That seems about all the Fields we've ever known and may ever know. Sorry to those who have him as a starter. I know fantasy points, you're just hoping he starts each week, but even that might have its expiration date. And the last one is a little bit selfish. I don't always pump the teams I'm actually cheering for, and very rarely do I actually get to be proud of the teams I'm cheering for. I hope I didn't jinx them, and that doesn't age horribly. But my Browns, I know their color means a lot of things to a lot of people, but did they really have to get pooped on like this? London, or Tottenham, but the UK games, number one, apologies, UK. The fact that you still like football is blowing my mind because we send you the worst teams. Minnesota has to go over, but at least they stay for 2 in a row so they get some continuity and feel better about it. Sure, Pittsburgh had to go there and back in a week, but then they got a bye week to rest. Not Cleveland. They get sent there, get sent back, and then play Pittsburgh, or an actual rival. They're going to lose anyway. We don't need maybe we do need the excuses. We did just trade our opening day starting quarterback to a division rival to try and help their season. To be a Browns fan. Anywho, that's enough for football. Our fantasy leagues are starting to heat up, so let's turn it over to the leagues to see exactly how week 5 went down. Two stories to tell here. Number one, congratulations to Team Kickass. It seems like you're either on the top or on the bottom in any given week, and this week you were definitely with 177. Even 135 is a pretty high predicted, and you kind of topped that with having Geno Smith at your quarterback, which is impressive nonetheless. I don't think we have to scroll too far down to see why. I mean, Christian McCaffrey looking like the dud of this group is pretty exceptional. That's because between JSN and Chase, that's your wide receivers 2 and 3. Javonte Williams, that's your running back 3. And even Jake Ferguson, tight end 2. So I'll put it all together. Never mind the fact that it had a dud of a flex. And I mean, kicker and defense is actually something that's going to come up a lot. No one really had the best kickers in defense. We have one kicker and one defense that was housed by anybody in the top 5. And actually, the kicker is across the table here. That was Jackie's 18 for Houston. It was the kicker one. But that was pretty much it. Every other kicker, San Fran, New Orleans, New England, Tennessee, they weren't taken. Defenses, we'll get to them when we get to our defense that scored. On the bench, you made most of the right calls. Monty, he's been a tough one to kind of narrow down. He's both helped you and hurt you, so I don't actually blame you for leaving me on the sideline. Plus, you didn't really need him. Jackie, you're unlucky again. That's the second story here, is this is now another time that you've been in the green, would have beaten a handful of teams. It just didn't really work out for you. Your running backs were kind of your duds on this one, unfortunately, and Etienne has definitely had his weeks. This just wasn't it. Now, Shahid, was the wide receiver 5, and unfortunately for you, in a questionable move, and I sent you this, not beforehand, but after asking, CJ Stroud was the quarterback 2, and you only had one quarterback, so wouldn't have won you, but I don't know, kind of curious on the strategy. Anywho, you still are a higher scoring. We're going to get to that with the schedule, and we mentioned this before, Team Kickass. When you win, you seem to win big, which is really helping your tiebreakers. So got the W, top score of the week, and your top 3 in the league. And by far our tightest, and one of our tightest of the year, 2.36, give or take, but who's counting? So every decision is going to matter here, and we had a couple decisions that really did make the difference. Now on Pamela's side, Rico Dowdle, congratulations, running back 1. Don't know if you saw that one coming. Then Laporta, you got the tight end 4 right here. Now, great outing from Tua. I mentioned the defenses and kickers not being great, but in this particular case, there it is. Your kicker, once again, you keep going with the one and the other, and then I don't know, 2 kickers just seems like it's a lot of hassle right now. Definitely, had you made a different decision, that would have worked out. Speaking of decisions, though, on the other side, Norcan, I made a big deal of your trade, and here's why. Your tight end did just fine, but wide receiver 1 on this side can't really mess with that trade already. We got an early winner of it. McBride was not in the top 5, and we're going to see how well Ball Too Well kind of did, but let's see. It's a long season. We'll see if it evens itself out. Worth it already, 3 and 2, top 4. Can't really mess with that. Pamela, 152. That's a tough beat. You are going to win 90 times out of 100. Unfortunately, not this time. But with your total points scored still nice and high, you do remain at second in the league. So if we've talked about second and we've talked about third, let's go to our number 1, still remaining undefeated. Now, fourth and conquer, not bad, 119. That's going to win you some, right at predicted, so you can't get too upset. And if we take a look at what you did, yeah, fine. A lot of guys getting points. Not a great tight end. I mentioned the kicker and defense. Only bummer is probably you got Sam Darnold here, which was the quarterback 3 on your bench. Might have helped you out, but wouldn't have actually tipped the scales. On Kelsey and Maureen's side, they had a massive quarterback day, quarterback 1 and quarterback 5 respectively, plus a great wide receiver performance with Waddle. I mean, with that injury, now we got to wonder how are they going to work things out. Well, wide receiver 4 on the first week, not too shabby. Defense and kicker honked butt, but didn't really matter. 138 is going to take it down, and they are still our undefeated leaders. The Raw Doggers, who I keep calling because there's just so many names we could name. I know there's probably got a few other secret team members there. They do take down ball too well. Now, I'm not dumping on you for the trade. I mean, you get who you want. Week 1 didn't work out, but let's see how it works moving on. Did suffer a pretty severe injury here, so we'll be interested to see how you bounce back on that one. And realistically, you just didn't really have too many people ringing it. You had a massive bye week that you were dealing with, so we do expect you to bounce back next week, although hopefully not too high. We'll get to that why in a second. On the other side, Raw Doggers, you did have some good performances. Trevor Lawrence was just outside the top 5. He was number 6, so he probably could have helped you out because your quarterbacks weren't necessarily going off. But you did have the only defense that actually finished in the top 5. That was our defense 5. 1 was New Orleans. We had Indy. We had Washington. Tennessee, again, surprisingly, because remember, there was a little bit of the point. They had to move. If you got the big notification that looked like the sky was falling, that was more about the Tennessee-Arizona situation on who got credit for what. Doesn't really matter. Kyron Williams also was, once again, actually, he's putting together a pretty consistent year and seems to, but he was the running back 4 on the week. Everyone else just kind of doing what they should within reason. More than enough to be just over predicted. Well, more than enough to take down ball too well. So congratulations, Raw Doggers. Still in the top 5. Well, this sucks. I mean, I was probably not going to win anyway, but man, second time, taking the hit. We'll get to that in a second. I will fess to it. I'll come clean. Now, not surprisingly, not only did I not have a great run, look at those running backs. Ooh, that's gross. But I did actually have a good running back. It just was on my bench. Running back 5. Wah, wah. Also took the wrong Seattle running back. Wah, wah. Anywho, not looking too good there. That's what happens when you go with a few gambles. But anyway, we'll bounce back. We'll see how it goes. On to the winning team, though. Now 2-3. Not the record they want, but top 6 does make the playoffs. So that's the position they're looking for. Great pickup on tight end. He was the tight end 5. And Taylor just having a phenomenal season. Not the number 1 on the week, but definitely number 1 on the year. And a defense that at least didn't get in the negatives. Can't mess with that one. So, Malakoff's, congratulations, top 6. Me, oh man, I stink right now. No bueno. Quick look at our standings. Pretty similar. A lot of ties. It looks like bench is starting to gap. So if anyone wants to take him down, that would be swell because maybe we'd be only within a game or two. Everyone else coming down to the points you score. So it's not just your matchup. It's how many points you're putting forward, especially now that we have some buys. Now, this week, as I'll talk in a second, not as many buys, but definitely some key matchups. All right, looks like it's Raw Doggers' turn to try and end the undefeated streak. A 6 versus 7, a 3 versus 4. Tons of things. We're getting into the heart of the season. Can't wait for week 6 matchups. That wraps up week 5, but before we get to week 6, elephant in the room, I was the first team to owe something. I didn't do anything about it. Now I got it again, so I owe 2. For most of you who know this, Jackie's on her way up. She's going to hold me accountable. Part of it was, steadying that camera while I'm trying to chug a beer, that's just tough. Don't really know how that works. To be honest, none of us have been great, and I got to be a little better at chasing you down, so do expect those out. So if you have forgotten that you owe a week, it looks like Jackie's actually the only one who contributed to the Super Bowl party. Everybody else, you have to let me know if you've done it, or maybe even photo evidence would be nice. I will provide mine, and hopefully Jackie will be involved. So set a standard, because now I'm the first 2-time loser. That sucks. Let's go week 6. Got to be better than week 5. Good luck, everybody.